What's the difference between Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, and Sevierville? Today, we'll discuss the benefits and downsides to each location and help you plan for your next Smoky Mountain adventure. Welcome to Bear Facts, where we explore the Smoky Mountains one bear fact at a time. When you begin your search for the Smoky Mountains, many people will see that there are three main cities that pop up in your search: Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville. But if you've never been to the Smokies, it might be confusing and hard to tell which place would be better. I'd like to help you figure this out in this video. This video will cover one of the most important decisions you need to make when planning any vacation: where to stay, like actually sleep. Because that's a pretty big decision that could really alter your entire vacation experience. But I'm not going to review different hotels and cabins, but rather look at the three cities and what advantages you will get from staying close to one or the other. And it's just important, the disadvantages. Also, I don't camp, nor do I know much about camping. So the video is not covering KOAs or private camping locations. Sorry, but I draw the line at sleeping on the ground. Let's start with how Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville are connected to one another and their location in general. This will be very important information when planning your lodging. Gatlinburg is very close to the Smoky Mountain National Park. They are literally on top of the gates. Because of their closeness to the park, the city sees a lot of influx of traffic of people going into and out of the park. The biggest downside to staying in Gatlinburg is getting there. To get to Gatlinburg, most people end up actually having to basically travel through Pigeon Forge and Sevierville. One of the easiest ways to get to them is by taking intersection 40, go through Sevierville on 66, which turns into 441 321 when you hit Pigeon Forge. Then you take the spur to Gatlinburg. You get the point? It's not an easy trip. Between 40 and Gatlinburg, you will encounter a lot of traffic. You could also get to Gatlinburg by 321, but most people aren't coming from that direction, and it's more of an inconvenience than it's worth. Gatlinburg is the smallest and lowest populated city of the three. By populated, I mean actual people who reside there. But they are small, and they're also more condensed. This and the closeness to the park are the real advantages of staying in Gatlinburg. With everyone packed into one small area, you can basically walk anywhere you want. Also, Gatlinburg has a public trolley bus system, which is free to use in Gatlinburg. Though the system is a little confusing, guests find it convenient once they figure it out. There are a lot of stops, and they can take guests to all of the major attractions, including the crafting center, all of the Ripley's attractions, many of the outer-lying lodging rental areas, and even the Gatlinburg Visitor Center, where you can get the transfer to the Pigeon Forge trolley system. Unfortunately, because of the scale and condensity of the area, is that even a word? Traffic and parking can be an absolute nightmare. Though there are a few hidden free parking areas in the area, most of the parking is reserved for hotel guests or paid lots. When it comes to lodging, Gatlinburg tends to run higher in prices. Just keep in mind that prices in the Smoky Mountains tend to fluctuate greatly. One week you might pay less than $100 for a place, and the next week it's over $250. These fluctuations happen during the weekends, especially when connected to an extended holiday. President's Weekend is one of the worst because you just don't expect it. But they will happen during the holidays or times when students are on break. If you don't live in Tennessee, look to see when school districts in Tennessee have their breaks. Their breaks actually don't always match up with the northern state school breaks, and we've noticed that Easter and the beginning of the end of summer are two times where this actually makes a pretty big difference in how busy it is, and you can watch for price fluctuations. A good thing to consider when doing a search for your lodging for Gatlinburg is to decide if you want to be within walking distance of most of the attractions and restaurants or have easier access to an exit. Because of the traffic on 441, it can be a hassle to get in and out of hotel parking. It's best to find a place as close to the 441-321 intersection as possible. You might notice that some of the big hitters like Margaritaville and the Greystone Lodge are in that area. And that's why you're paying a premium price for them. They're close to all the attractions and have easy access to a red light and an exit. And you're also across the street from Ripley's Aquarium, where you will find the main trolley hub for Gatlinburg. So you might be paying an arm and a leg for those places, but they are very conveniently located. The trolley system also makes enjoying the ample opportunities to sample moonshine, wine, and bourbon in the Gatlinburg much safer. No need to take a car, so you won't have to worry about having a designated driver. Win-win for everyone. Another benefit of staying in Gatlinburg is for those who want to fish without the hassle of driving anywhere. Yeah, you heard me correctly. Gatlinburg stocks the waterway along 441 with trout, and you can legally fish there right in the middle of the city. Though be aware that there is a separate fishing permit you need just for Gatlinburg. Also, during the 2024 season, they will not be stocking the waters again until they're done rebuilding the fishing farm, which is undergoing major reconstruction and improvements. When we're looking for places to stay in Gatlinburg, we look to see how far the place is from the 441-321 intersection. We use Anakista and Ripley's Aquarium to help with that, since they are pretty central to everything and are right in that area. They make a good reference point when looking for hotels or condos. If you use the park as a reference, you might end up closer to the park, but you'll have to navigate all the horrendous traffic on 441 if you plan on leaving Gatlinburg to visit Pigeon or Sevierville. Almost all the cabins in Gatlinburg are up and a ways from the central part of the city. Nice views, but the prices match the views. They're absolutely gorgeous places, but they come with a steep price. They're also not easy to get to. The back roads in Gatlinburg, Sevierville, and Pigeon Forge can be a little scary. They tend to be narrow and extremely windy, so make sure you're up to the challenge before booking one of those places. Nighttime driving can be terrifying. Winter, let's just say that you will be stuck in your beautiful cabin if even an inch of snow hits the area. If they advertise a great view, you will get the view, but you will also likely be on top of a hill. Just remember, you have to get there somehow. Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville all have hotels, condos, and cabins. The views from cabins in Gatlinburg tend to be really good, but Pigeon Forge and Sevierville also get great views. The biggest difference is price. Gatlinburg tends to get high, very high. If you don't travel much, you might not be sure how hotels, condos, and cabins are different. Let me briefly clarify them. A hotel is one room that is part of a larger building or structure. They sometimes have suites for kitchens, but you will get daily room service, and they sometimes offer a continental breakfast. They also are staffed day and night, so if you have a problem or need help, there is someone there to help. Most hotels also have amenities like a pool, rec room, hot tub, and ice machines. They will also usually offer laundry facilities, though they are almost never free to use. I have never seen a hotel that doesn't offer free parking in the area, as the free parking is usually the biggest perk of staying in a hotel in Gatlinburg, but that doesn't mean all hotels have free parking. I would just check their website before booking. You just never know. The condominiums are a little different from cabins, but not much. Most condos and cabins have full kitchens, separate bathrooms, living rooms, and will offer more than one room. Usually condos are in a larger complex. They're almost always privately owned and use a management service to handle the day-to-day operations. Cabins, on the other hand, are going to be separate buildings, often with a fire pit, lawn, and more room for guests who want privacy. There are some cabins that have separate floors that can be rented out, but they tend to be larger and more spacious than a condo. They also are often managed by outside organizations who handle booking, payments, and cleaning arrangements. Cabins and condos are not staffed, and you will not get any room service. So if you use a towel, you got to keep it. If you use the bed, you got to wash it yourself. In fact, most all of them will expect you to clean up after yourself and follow basic housekeeping chores, such as taking garbage out, cleaning dishes, or putting bedding in the washing machine. Though that one isn't very common. Also, condos and cabins are not manned by a person 24 hours a day. Some condos have an office that is staffed during the day, but cabins very seldom even have that. The benefit of the cabins and condos is more space and more privacy, and they usually come with a full kitchen with dishes, silverware, pots, and pans. Most condos and cabins also come with a washing machine and dryer that guests can use for free. It seems that every cabin I've looked at in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville also have a private hot tub. I'm sure that there are a few that don't, but a lot of them do. The condos usually have a shared hot tub or pool and a recreational area. The fees are where condos and cabins hit you the hardest. It might say book a 3-bedroom cabin for the low price of $500 a week. Then when you go to book, it's now $1,500. This is where cleaning fees, resort fees, management fees, and taxes all hit you at once. And they will hit you hard. Make sure you go through the entire process until the very last step before paying. This will tell you what the final cost will actually be, and if it's worth that price. When you book a cabin or a condo, you will also get a code to get into the place a week or less before your stay. Sometimes you won't even get the real address until you finalize the booking. We have booked through Vrbo, Airbnb, and as well as Orbitz and other private companies. You really need to do your research and look at reviews. You also should avoid booking places that seem to be too amazing to be real. There are scams where people book a cabin that don't actually exist. They lose money and end up not having a place to stay once they're in the area and realize it was a scam. Most places in Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville have pretty good reviews, but take them all with a grain of salt. People can be mean on reviews and complain about the dumbest things. Now, I've already covered Gatlinburg quite a lot, so let's take a look at Pigeon Forge and Sevierville. Though the information about the hotels and how they work are basically all the same, you might want to keep an eye out for the next few videos that will cover restaurants and attractions that might help you decide where to book finally. Pigeon Forge and Sevierville will be a better location for people who prefer to drive and don't plan on walking as much. Both locations have more options for booking, and you'll find more budget-friendly hotels the further you go from Gatlinburg, and the areas in Pigeon Forge with more attractions. Pigeon Forge can get to be very expensive, but you have more to pick from. You'll also have more choices between cabins, condos, and hotels. Pigeon Forge is off of 441, and though the traffic can get pretty bad, it's not as bad as Gatlinburg. Most visitors will get to Pigeon Forge by taking I-40, pass through Sevierville, and end up on 441 321 Parkway. This is ideal for folks who hate traffic and don't want to have to deal with the Gatlinburg traffic. Also, Pigeon Forge has parking. Yes, you can almost be guaranteed to get free parking at most places in Pigeon Forge. Unlike Gatlinburg, parking is a premium. The only time parking is an issue is during Broad Week and Jeep Invasion Week, and it gets dicey. Pigeon Forge is great for folks who plan on going to Dollywood, like shopping, or even want to see some of the dinner shows in the area. But you can also access the national park and not actually have to go through the horrific traffic in Gatlinburg to get there. You notice there's a theme with Gatlinburg and traffic? Pigeon Forge has access points to the park through many different routes. This is for people who are on the go and plan on using their car to get around. And Pigeon Forge also has a trolley bus system. The trolley in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg are two separate entities, though they do share the same app, which, in my experience, has been very hit or miss. In theory, you can upload the app to your phone and see when the trolley's time will arrive, what color lines to go to which location, and you can actually see where the trolleys are with the GPS. Does it work that well? Sometimes. Pigeon Forge has an actual bus station by the Old Mill District where you can access different colored lines. There is a free car lot adjacent to the station, and visitors can take the trolley from there. Since the point of a trolley is to avoid driving, though, most tourists will just get on the bus from one of the numerous trolley stops in the area. There is a transfer line that will take you to Gatlinburg at the main hub, where you can get on a transfer line to Gatlinburg. Sounds confusing? Yeah, welcome to rural American public transportation, where nothing is easy. And unlike Gatlinburg, there is a fee. If you're picking up the trolley from one of the regular stops, you can pay with your credit card as you get on. The fee isn't too bad though. When we used it in 2023, it was $1 for each time you got on, or $3 for unlimited use. And the trolley takes you to a lot of places. I think it's worth using if you don't want to drive. There is a line that even takes you to Dollywood, which will save you a ton of money and time in parking. Since parking at Dollywood is like $25 and the bus fee is only $3, definitely something to consider. When it comes to lodging, Pigeon Forge has a wide variety of choices. If you enjoy walking around at night and sampling at the moonshine places, you'll need to be closer to the island. Staying close to the island gives you the best of both worlds. You can park for free and walk to places you want. We stayed at the Wayback, which is across from the island, and really enjoyed it, but they are expensive. We went after Marriott first remodeled and opened this hotel. It was actually really cheap at that time. Then the prices just went higher and higher. There's also a Margaritaville franchise and Pigeon Forge location at the island. This location can be less expensive than the Gatlinburg one, but only if you're staying in the outer lying building. The Margarita and Pigeon Forge has two structures where guests can stay. The less expensive one is right off of the parkway, and the other one is inside the island. I've never stayed there, but I think it's a cool place to walk around. Sevierville, not Sevierville, is more for people who are looking for a more affordable lodging and don't care if they're off the beaten trail. Not that you can't find many amazing things to do and see in Sevierville. We will cover that in an upcoming video. But since the city is the biggest of the three, things are spread out a lot more. It's not as easy to park your car and walk anywhere. Though there are sidewalks and walkways, things just are further apart. The trolley only touches in Sevierville in a few locations, but they are going to the big attractions such as Chandler's and many of the other things that you might do or want to see on the parkway. The biggest advantage of staying in Sevierville is you'll see less traffic. I'm not saying no traffic, but there is definitely less traffic to deal with than Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Also, since Sevierville is closest to I-40, you have better access to the highway infrastructure in Tennessee. You can also get to the airport in Knoxville or head on over to the other local cities with much more ease and less hassle. Also, you'll see more affordable cabins in Sevierville, and they don't get booked out as quickly as they might in Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge. They are better for folks who are looking for a place to stay that feels like you're in the mountains, but are still close enough to the attractions that getting there isn't a huge hassle. Sevierville will be the best place to start your search if that is the kind of vacation you want. But keep in mind that not all Sevierville is back roads and scenic overlooks. The fact is there's just as many stores, restaurants, attractions, and things to do in Sevierville as in other cities. It's just more spread out. So when you're searching for lodging close to attractions and want easy access to trolleys, I would use Tangiers as a good reference point. If you want more space and less people, just leave the parkway. Once you're off of 66 and 441, the traffic disappears as well as the people. Okay, so that was a lot of information. So let's sum it up for you and compare the pros and cons of staying in the three major Smoky Mountain cities. Pros of Gatlinburg. They are more condensed and walkable of the three cities. And the trolley system is easier to use. Cons, traffic, lots and lots of traffic. Also, Gatlinburg is not quick or easy to get to. They're in the middle of a lot of traffic and not very close to any major highways. Pigeon Forge's pros are that there are more free parking. They have a good trolley system. There are a lot of close attractions and lodging prices can be cheaper. They still aren't super easy to get to, but much closer to the highway than Gatlinburg. The cons? Traffic is a big one, but since they are larger and more sprawled out, many people end up just driving everywhere and the traffic isn't as bad as in Gatlinburg. Sevierville's pros are that their lodges tend to be cheaper. They have more affordable cabins and they're more isolated and less condensed. Better for people who are less interested in the local attractions and more focused on the nature of the Smoky Mountains. Sevierville can be a good place for families who are on a budget but still want to enjoy the great vacation destination. Though there will be places priced out of the average person's budget, you still might have more luck here. Cons? You have to drive everywhere you want to go, and it's a bit of a drive to get to the attractions in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. The trolley does run in Sevierville, but there's not as many stops. So having a night out of moonshining sampling is more of a challenge without a designated driver. I hope this video helps you plan your visit to the Smoky Mountains. You're getting an honest review from our personal experiences. But facts and things change, so please keep us in the loop if you learn anything new and want to share your experiences in the comments. Thanks again for visiting us at Bare Facts of the Smoky Mountains. Please click that like button and subscribe to our channel.